What's up everybody, welcome back to another video, Barbecue with Barry, and today we are doing some spare ribs 2 ways. Let's get started. All right, so I'm not really sure which direction I'm gonna take this video on cooking these spare ribs. But what I will say is you will probably know by the time you clicked on this video, saw the thumbnail, whatever it is. But yeah, today we're gonna be cooking some spare ribs. I picked these up at my local Sam's Club. They were $2.25 a pound, which is pretty cheap. I got 2 racks of full spare ribs for just under 20 bucks. So really good deal. They were normally like 26 bucks, 25 and some change. So got them on sale, got them for a good price. I actually picked up 2 packs of these and threw one in the freezer for later. But yeah, today we're gonna be cooking these spare ribs. I'm probably gonna do each rack its own way. We'll see kind of which way the wind blows today and which way I take them. But we will be in fact cooking 2 racks of spare ribs. So something I did wanna point out, when you are at the grocery store, if you're looking to cook some ribs, a couple things to kind of point out, and this goes kind of for baby backs. Baby backs are a little bit different because they're gonna be a little bit leaner than spare ribs are, but just some things to look at when you're picking out spare ribs and baby back ribs, but spare ribs today in particular. You wanna really look at the fat content in here, kind of the striation through the meat, same way you would if you were picking up a steak, a brisket, any sort of meat cut, beef, pork. You want to look for that fat because obviously rendered fat is flavor. So you want to look for that. You can see both of these ribs have nice fat and marbling in here. I've seen some grocery stores that have a premium rib, and theirs usually have more fat than the regular rib that they have. But yeah, just something to look for when you're picking through ribs. Usually when I go to Sam's Club, I look at every rack there based on size, kind of price, shape of them, and then also the kind of fat content in them. So just something to note when you are looking to pick up a rack of ribs. All right, so let's go ahead, get these cut open, trimmed up, and seasoned. Just gonna go ahead and pat them dry. All right, so the first thing I like to do when trimming up spare ribs is kind of remove this kind of skirt flap of meat on the back. And you can save that and grind it up and put it in the sausage. Leave it on there if you want to. I personally never have left it on there and cooked it, just because when I'm making ribs, I want them to turn out the best way possible. All right, and then we start off, with our end here. You can see this really thin piece of meat here. I mean, it's almost, I can see my gloves through the other side. So I'm gonna go ahead, kind of find the first bone in here and just cut that off, square that up. Same thing with this one. Got some of this kind of meat hanging off here. Trim that off. Same thing. Kind of big chunk of fat back here. Trim that off. Now we got kind of 2 full racks of spare ribs here. If I wanted to turn these into St. Louis style, I could cut right along here. And then you would just have this part of the rib from here down, which would be more of a St. Louis style. And this up here is actually called the rib tips. I'm gonna leave it on. Some people like to eat it. I like to eat it a little, little bits and pieces of it. So I'll leave it on. Worst case scenario, if you don't want it, cook it, don't eat it. You can always cut it off afterward. But if you do like it, keep it on there. Keep them the full spare rib, which is kind of the Texas style pork rib. All right, and that's pretty much it for trimming these spare ribs. So they're all trimmed up, nice. Now what we're gonna do is flip them back over. We're gonna remove the membrane on the back here, like I do in almost every video. Now you don't have to remove the membrane. I just like to. There's plenty of places and plenty of people that say that you don't need to. Some people will score the back of the membrane just by adding kind of slice marks into the back, and that helps it kind of get broken down when it's in the smoker. Easiest way to remove the membrane, kind of go in between two bones. We got a bone here and a bone here with a butter knife. Use your fingers to kind of pull it up and push that butter knife underneath. It does rip sometimes. I will say the membrane on baby back ribs is a lot easier to remove than on spare ribs. Also, another trick, once you have a little bit of it up, grab a paper towel. And that can kind of help pull it off as well. Like I said, get your butter knife under there, then you can get your finger kind of under there. Use this paper towel. And 2 racks of spare ribs, membrane removed, trimmed up nicely. Let's go ahead, get these things seasoned up. So I'm gonna start with the classic mustard binder. All right, for this front rack of ribs, I'm gonna kind of do like a Texas style salt and pepper rib, possibly a glaze at the end. And then for this back one, we're gonna use Heath Riles Competition Rub, more of a sweeter style rib. And then we'll have kind of 2 different styles for people to choose from. So we're gonna start with our Texas style rib. I got some 16 mesh coarse black pepper here. Lay down a nice even coat of that. Then we're gonna follow it up with Heath Riles Garlic Jalapeño. The Heath Riles Competition Rub. By far one of my favorite rubs is this Heath Riles Competition Rub. Anything pork, it is great on. It is also great on chicken. You can use whatever rub you like. There's plenty out there to choose from, but this is one that I really like. Now, let's go ahead, flip these over, and get this other side seasoned up. Our mustard binder, and you can use any binder you want. I've seen people use mustard. Warm water, apple cider vinegar, no binder, all kinds of stuff. So there's plenty of options out there, and it's whatever you like and works for you. All right, we'll start with our Texas style rib again. Gonna do that 16 mesh coarse black pepper. And then follow it up with the Heath Riles Garlic Jalapeño. Pat that in. Now we'll move on to the Heath Riles Competition style, sweeter style rib. Now I did the coarse black pepper on the back of this one for kind of a little extra peppery bite. But on the top side of these, I'm just gonna stick with the competition rub. Now we will go ahead, let these sweat in for right around 15 minutes, and we'll head outside, get the smoker fired up. All right, now that our seasoning has sweat into our ribs, smoker's fired up to 225 degrees, let's go ahead and get these things on. All right, so I am going to be running a water pan here. I like to run a water pan when doing ribs or pork. I mean, really a lot of stuff. Just keeps humidity and moisture in the smoke chamber, and I've found you get better results. All right, so our ribs have been on for right around 2 hours. Let's go ahead and take a look, see how they're looking. Looking great, getting some great color on them. Gonna go ahead, turn the smoker up to 250 degrees for probably around an hour, and then we'll come back and bump it up to 275 degrees. All right, so we've been cooking right around 3 hours now. Gonna go ahead, temp these, kind of see where we're at. 150, 149, 50. So I'm gonna go ahead, bump this thing up to 275 degrees, wait till these All right, let's take a look at our ribs. Looking really good here. 165, 160, this rack, 155, 167. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pull this rack off, we're gonna wrap this, and then we're gonna leave this rack on, finish this one on the smoker, and then we're gonna wrap this one to finish it. So go ahead, take this one off. Go ahead, move this one closer to the hot end of the grill here. Then we'll go ahead, take these inside and wrap them up. All right, so we just took our rack of sweet ribs off. These ones were with the Heath Riles Competition Rub. We're gonna go ahead, get these things wrapped up. Our other rack, which is more of the Texas style spare rib, we're gonna leave on and finish on the smoker, let them cook all the way through on there, and then pull them off when they're probe tender. But with these, we're gonna go ahead and wrap these up. I'm gonna wrap these with Heath Riles Butter Bath. I did a video on that last week or a couple weeks ago. But that was really, really good. So I'm gonna do that same thing. That was with baby back ribs. I'm gonna try it with spare ribs this time, see how they turn out. All right, so we got for our butter bath about 3/4 of a cup of hot water, 1/4 cup of the butter bath. Gonna go ahead, dump this in. Give this a good mix. All right, we'll go ahead, place our ribs in our foil. Now we'll go ahead and get these wrapped up. And then we are gonna be going back on the smoker with the meat side down, same way these are wrapped. So just like this, where they're gonna sit at 275 degrees until they're probe tender. So let's go ahead, get these back on the smoker and keep on cooking. Throw those back on. I'm gonna go ahead and flip these bad boys around. All right, so I just took our 2 racks of ribs off the smoker. They were on there for right around 5 hours total. The wrapped ribs did come off probably 20-25 minutes before the unwrapped ribs came off. These ribs have been fully cooked not wrapped at any part of the process, just on the smoker the entire way through. Whereas these ones we wrapped with Heath Riles Butter Bath. So we're gonna do a little comparison here to see which one's better, if we like the wrapped or the, you know, kind of smoked all the way through, no wrap rib. So let's go ahead, dive in and see how we did. Two great looking ribs here. Nice fat render. Juicy. Let's see about these ones. Oh yeah, same thing. The butter bath ribs do look a little bit juicier. That's probably because they were wrapped up. That moisture was contained in there for that last part of the cook. Now you can definitely tell which rack of ribs was wrapped and which one wasn't. The one that wasn't, you can see, took on a lot darker color due to more time in the smoke, whereas the wrapped ribs kind of have a lighter color, and some of the butter bath, being that it's a lighter color, actually kind of lightens up the color of the rib. So let's go ahead, dive in and see how we did. Starting off with our butter bath rib. That's a very good rib right there. Clean bone, really, really good, juicy, like I said. Let's go ahead and try this unwrapped. Definitely a little bit more peppery. Bark is really nice and crispy. Still juicy. I would say probably not as juicy as the butter bath ribs, but clean bone. Man, that is so good. You can't beat that right there. I mean, there's just no comparison between these two ribs. This one, like I said, it's juicier. It's got more of a sweeter profile, I would say. Whereas this one, definitely pepper forward. But I mean, the bark on this from, you know, not wrapping these is just very, very good. I mean, it's a great mouthfeel, great bite to it. Out of these two, honestly, I'd prefer this one, I think. I like pepper, so I really like the pepper forward kind of spice flavor and profile in this rib, as well as the smokiness. It's definitely a little bit smokier than this rib. Overall, though, both great ribs, both great methods. Either one of these methods, you would end up with a great eating rib. But my personal choice, the no wrap, kind of Texas style spare rib. Let's go ahead and do a quick recap of our cook here today. So we got these ribs from Sam's Club, 2 racks, full racks of spare ribs. We took them out of the wrapper, patted them dry, pulled the membrane on them, trimmed off the ends, kind of shaped them up nicely, rubbed them down with some mustard as a binder. Then the Texas style spare rib, we did just 16 mesh coarse black pepper and then Heath Riles Garlic Jalapeno Rub. The butter bath ribs, same thing. We took them out, rubbed them down with mustard as a binder. We then seasoned them with Heath Riles Competition Rub and a little bit of 16 mesh black pepper on the bottom side. We then put them on the smoker at 225 degrees where they sat for right around 2 hours. We then bumped the temperature up to 250 degrees where it sat for an hour, and then we finished off right around 275 degrees. Once these hit 165 degrees internal temperature or right around there, we took these off, mixed up our butter bath, wrapped these in aluminum foil, put them back on the smoker, meat side down, cooked them until they were tender, right around 203, 205 degrees. And then we took this rack, moved it closer to the hotter end of the grill so that they could kind of try and finish up right around the same time. These ones still finished up a little bit before, but roughly total cook time was right around 5 hours for both of these racks of ribs. If you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to drop a comment. Let me know what kind of videos you guys want to see next. I love cooking ribs, so that's kind of my thing. So there's lots of rib videos. I already have a lot of rib videos, so there's gonna be definitely more rib videos to come. Got a couple other ideas of new videos that are gonna come out here pretty soon, but Thank you guys so much for watching. If you aren't already, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.